So, you've decided to launch a podcast. First off, congratulations! This is an exciting venture, and if you're listening to this, you're probably eager to get started. But let's be real for a second. Launching a podcast isn't just about hitting that record button and letting the magic happen. No, it's a strategic game, and if you want to set the tone for your podcast's growth and engagement, you need to approach it with a solid plan. I'm talking about a roadmap that will not only attract an initial audience, but will also help you generate buzz and establish your podcast as a must-listen in its niche. So, let's dive into the actionable steps that will prepare you for a smooth and impactful launch. First things first, you need to define your goals and your audience. What do you want to achieve with your podcast? Maybe you want to get 500 downloads within the first week, or gain 100 subscribers by the end of the month. Whatever it is, write it down. But here's the kicker. You also need to understand who you're talking to. Who is your target audience? What are their interests, needs, and listening habits? Tailoring your launch strategy to appeal to them is crucial. If you know what keeps them up at night, you can create content that resonates with them. Next up, let's talk content. You'll want to produce and finalize your initial episodes before launch day. I recommend having at least 3 to 5 episodes ready to go. This gives your listeners enough content to explore and engage with right off the bat. For instance, if you're launching a health podcast, you might kick things off with episodes on meal planning, fitness tips, and mental wellness. Make sure these episodes are polished and meet technical standards. Think MP3 format, 128 kbps bitrate. You want your sound quality to reflect the professionalism you're aiming for. Now let's get visual. Eye-catching branding is essential. Design compelling podcast cover art that reflects your theme and draws attention. This isn't just about looking pretty, it's about establishing a consistent brand identity. Develop a logo, color scheme, and tagline that encapsulate what your podcast is all about. If you're launching a tech podcast, for example, sleek, modern graphics with a tagline like "Demystifying the Digital Age" can really set the tone. Once your branding is on point, it's time to set up your podcast hosting and distribution. Choose a reliable podcast hosting platform. Options like Buzzsprout, Anchor, or Libsyn are popular choices. Don't forget to submit your podcast's RSS feed to major directories like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. And here's a pro tip. Complete this step at least a week before your launch to ensure approval and availability. You don't want to be scrambling at the last minute. Now, onto the fun part, building pre-launch buzz. Start promoting your podcast at least 2 to 4 weeks before your launch date. Get creative. Share teaser clips, 15 to 30-second highlights of your episodes on social media to pique interest. You could even create countdown posts on platforms like Instagram or Twitter. And if you have an email list, send out announcements with all the juicy details about your podcast and launch date. Use a dedicated hashtag to encourage audience interaction. This is your chance to get people talking. Speaking of interaction, consider planning a launch event or campaign. Hosting a virtual or in-person event can be a fantastic way to engage with your audience. Think about a live Q&A session on Instagram or Facebook, where you introduce your podcast and answer audience questions. It's a great way to connect with your listeners and build a community right from the start. You could also offer exclusive perks for early listeners, like a downloadable guide, bonus episodes, or even shout-outs. Everyone loves a little recognition. Now let's not forget about leveraging your network. Reach out to friends, family, and professional connections to support and share your podcast. Ask them for early reviews and ratings on platforms like Apple Podcasts. Those initial reviews can really boost your visibility and credibility. As you prepare for launch, don't overlook the importance of SEO and discoverability. Use relevant keywords in your podcast title, description, and episode show notes. If you're running a financial podcast, for example, include terms like budgeting, investing, or money tips. Adding timestamps and detailed summaries can also help listeners find specific topics of interest, making your content more user-friendly. Once you've launched, it's time to track and analyze your metrics. Use your hosting platform's analytics tools to monitor downloads, audience demographics, and listener retention. This data is gold. It'll help you adjust your strategy based on early feedback and performance. If you notice that a specific episode is performing exceptionally well, consider creating more content on that topic. Listen to your audience. They will guide you in the right direction. Now, let's wrap this up with a sample launch timeline. 4 weeks before, finalize your branding and submit to directories. 3 weeks before, record and edit those initial episodes. 2 weeks before, kick off your teaser campaigns on social media and through email. 1 week before, share behind-the-scenes content and set up a countdown. And then, launch day. Publish those initial episodes, host your live event, and promote like crazy. In the post-launch week, request reviews, monitor analytics, and engage with your early listeners. So, what are the key takeaways here? A strong podcast launch involves thorough preparation, engaging branding, and pre-launch promotion. Have multiple episodes ready to attract and retain listeners. Use social media, email campaigns, and networking to generate buzz. Optimize your podcast for discoverability through SEO techniques. And finally, monitor early metrics to refine your content and promotion strategies. Remember, this is just the beginning. With the right planning and execution, you can set your podcast on a path to success. Now go out there and make your podcast dreams a reality.